I have a very special guest for this podcast. As you know, most of my podcasts are solo. It's a monologue. It's just me talking and pontificating to you. But today I am joined with a very special guest, my dear father, Mr. Avi Wolbe. He is here for what hopefully will be the first of many, many appearances on the show. And I want to introduce my father, Abba. Say hi to the podcast family.
Hi, everyone.
It is such a wonderful privilege to have you here. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time. And I'm particularly excited to have you on the podcast, but also for the subject matter that, please God, we will be covering. Parents have to parent. They have to raise their children. And parents are given a baby in the hospital, and they're not given a manual. There's no instructions. You kind of are given this small little human, and you're told, hey, it's your responsibility to raise this child, not just physically to make sure they're well fed and they sleep and they're safe and they're healthy, but to kind of raise them into a mature, responsible, productive adult. That's a big responsibility on the shoulders of parents, and we don't really have a clear guide. And this is a subject that I always wanted to talk about in the podcast more because it's so important. But people will say, listen, Wolbe, who are you? Why should we listen to you? What kind of success do you have? Show me your children. Show me the results. Show me that you are a credible authority in this manner before I listen to you. And that's why I've been a little sheepish talking about it. And we have done some podcasts in the past, but it's not really a major focus. But my father, he shall live and be well. Abba, you have a lot of experience, and a lot of success. And the fruits of your labor are already mature. I think your youngest son, Mordechai, he's 26?
Yeah.
So you have a lot of credibility in this area. And I figured we'd bring you on and talk about parenting with you, and you'll share some insights for the audience. What do you say about that, Abba?
Sounds very good. I like how you present things.
Yes. Well, thank you.
That's one thing you didn't learn from me. I'm not too good at that.
Okay. Well, I'll beg to differ, but we'll let the audience decide. Now, the way I want to structure this is that we're going to have a conversation, and the subject is going to be parenting. And I call you the Podfather, because it's like the oracle, the insight behind it. But, all the podcasts that we do, you're like the father of it all. You're the patriarch of the podcast, the Podfather. And I think your insights will be helpful, not just for me, but for everyone who listens and their children. So I want to maybe start off by talking a little bit about your life as a parent, your story as a parent, and some of the successes. I know it's not comfortable to share, but some of the successes that you have been blessed with in your children that will give the audience comfort in knowing that you know what you're talking about and you have experience, and maybe they should listen to what you have to say. So maybe we could talk a little bit about your parenting journey over the course of the last, almost 50 years.
Okay. It has not started 50 years ago. It started when I was born, and I saw how I am what my parents instilled in me and how they did things with me. And I think that was a major effective on my upbringing of my children. My parents, Zichronam Livracha, were always nice to me, even though when I did the real bad things like every child does. They always dealt with me in a fair, calm, and honest way. They never showed anger. I did, but they did never showed anger. They were all patient. My father rarely hit me. I think maybe once or twice in my whole life. And I disagree with his hitting because I don't think he did the right thing. It was not that bad, okay? But I saw how nice and how they did the work. And that really made me who I am. I got married very young with my dear wife, which is your dear mama. And we had a baby. And I realized that, first of all, I love this child. I love this child. He's my child. And I loved him a lot. That was my oldest son, which is way older than you. And I put a lot of thought into how really to deal with this kid. I tried always to be nice. I'm not the same nature as my father, so I can't do what he did, okay? I'm much more, maybe aggressive, call it. I can give a patch, on
Slap,
your face when I really get upset. But I never showed it. I had to let go of my emotions, and I think my children know it. So it was a long ride. In other words, it was I would say 40 years of raising children. And Baruch Hashem, every single one of our children are successful, are doing what they do best. So, and they do it with Yiras Shamayim and with love to Hashem as well. It's not only they're good to the world, they're good to themselves and to Hashem. They do the right thing. All my children, all 9 of them.
Well, of course we know who the star is, but we'll talk about that afterwards. Okay.
Okay, no, they're not perfect. But great kids, every single one of them. I have a good relationship today. But my oldest son is almost 50. And my youngest is 26. And I have great relationship with every single one of them. So we did something right. So first of all, I never changed my nature. I'm always the guy that says no. But I'm so lucky that my wife is always the person who says yes. So they would say, Abba, can I have this? And I said, no. And he must say, yes, come, I'll give you. This is how it worked. And it worked fine. I didn't mind that she gives it to you, but I am the tough guy. But the bottom line was that I loved my children. I don't know how to describe it in English. I just don't know. My whole heart was loving to them.
Unconditionally.
It was my unconditionally love. And I think that's key number 1 to raising children. You have to love your child no matter what. Okay, so that's established.
So if I could summarize, you're telling us that, we know one parent or one parenting model best, and that's the one that we grew up in. So if you are fortunate enough to grow up with exquisite parents who don't get angry, who love you, who have a long leash, who are very tolerant, very patient, care for you, always nice to you, understanding, if you're fortunate enough to be born into such a family and to be raised by such parents, well, you have a head start, of course, in life, because that's going to raise you, please God. Such an environment is very conducive to raising a child who's going to be responsible and healthy and balanced and good, a good productive member of society. But also when you become a parent, you kind of subconsciously adopt the methodology, the modus operandi of your parents, say this is what you know and this is what you deploy in your home. And you're telling us a very deep insight that it's important to keep control. I also have some children, thank God. And I know how frustrating it could be when the kids misbehave, or they make messes, or they do things that are so, make you want to pull your hair out, and you want to just scream and hit them and throw stuff at them and respond in just an instinctual way. With impulsivity, and you have to control it. And you have to be patient. I remember Saba. So just for the audience here, my father is Abba, which is the Hebrew word for father. And my grandfather, blessed memory, my father's father, is Saba. It's a little confusing. Abba, Saba. So Saba said, I remember hearing him say this, that the principle of parenting is actually learning to control yourself. It's learning to have good character, because bad character equals bad parenting. You know, if you're someone who's very impulsive, very quick to get anger, you have temper problems, you're going to let that on your kids, and they're going to resent you. And this beautiful relationship that you have with your children, Abba, that is the product of having a loving environment when they grew up. If it was a domineering, totalitarian environment where there was violence and aggression and wasn't a safe place, the kids will say, I'm out of here. I'll see you later. I'll send you a postcard. But if they grow up in such an environment where the parents are overcoming their impulses, then that is going to be a very healthy and safe and good place to foster, please God, good children. So Saba used to say that the number one principle of parenting is to overcome your bad instincts and your bad character and your bad character traits. And if you get envious, you're jealous. Oh, look at the neighbor's kid. Look how well behaved. Look at their academic scores, and look how well they're doing in class, and how respectful they are, and how put together they are. And look at you. You're like a schlub. You're a schlemiel and a schlemazel. You're not dressed well, and you're so crazy and so nuts, and you're so uncontrollable and so wild. And your academic scores are dismal. Envy can cause you to parent poorly. So envy and anger, and you want honor. Look at my children. All those things, bad character, lead to bad parenting, which leads to bad results. That's number one. To love the child unconditionally, overcome your emotions that may be leading you astray, and marry well. Because this is a partnership, right? A father, mother, husband, wife. They're literally partners in the child. Each contributes something just to the biology of the child. But when it comes to raising the child, it's a team sport. And if you have a good partner, you're in luck. Because if you're butting heads with each other and you're not synchronized in what you want to do, well, then you're in big trouble, because it's going to be really hard when the kid gets mixed messages, or one of the parents is off the rails, or not as interested or focused on how to do this properly. It's not going to be the right environment, or the best environment, the ideal environment for raising children. Wow, what a way to get started. This is amazing. Pops, I'm looking forward to this.
Well, we have it.
Let's go. Okay. So let's get into some of the kind of the basic ideals of parenting. What are some basic rules, some good principles, some good foundational insights that parents need to know and need to remember if they want to raise healthy children? And when we say healthy children, we're talking about the full gamut, right? We want our children, of course, to be, socially balanced, to have social skills, but to be responsible, to be physically healthy, to be mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, to be successful, whatever they choose to do, to be balanced in life. Of course, as Jews, we want our children to be good Jews as well. We want them to be religiously healthy as well. We want our children to have the same values, or at least, the same general priorities that we have. So there's really a lot of things we're trying to do with our children. And if we don't parent and we allow it to just be random, we don't know who's going to influence them. So what are some of the main principles that you can share with us about how to raise healthy, good, successful, balanced children in all areas? I know this is a very open-ended question, but I think it's a good way to just dive into this very critical and important subject.
Okay, well, come to think of it, is two angles to this. Number one is the relationship that I have with my child, and the relationship with me and my child against the world. Give you an example of the two. When the teacher calls me up and says, hey, your child is impossible. For whatever reason. Could be that he's eating pretzels.
Has that ever happened? I'll be shocked. I'm shocked to learn that happened.
like he's eating pretzels in the middle of class. He's sitting with his feet on the table in class. Okay? So how do you react to this? You hug your son or daughter and you kiss him and you say, I love you, but kid, in class, the teacher should not be suffering this. This is not right for him. I understand you and I love you and I think it's very cool to have your feet on the table while the class is going on. But you can't, class can look that way. So try to avoid it. That's when it comes to my child. When the teacher calls me and says, hey, your kid is nuts. He's eating pretzels in the class. He's putting his feet up. So I said, try to overlook. I'm telling the teacher, try to overlook it. And, I'll have a word with my son. I'll tell him how improper it is. Let's try to gently walk him out of this behavior. And it'll work. I have many examples for that. But a teacher calls me once, or a few times. A principal calls me and says, you have to hit your child. You have to. Behavior like this is unacceptable.
Well, and I just want to point out that you raise your children in a different era that exists today. Like today, no one would say that because the idea of, corporal punishment, hitting the kids, that just doesn't really exist today, thankfully. But in a different era, the principal called you up, and just repeat this, and said to him, your child is such a wild maniac. You got to slap him. You got to beat him up a little bit.
Right. No, that was the principal. So the principal happens to have been or is a Talmud, a student of my father. So I told him, you know what? Let me call up my father. Hear what he says. Because I think I shouldn't touch the kid. Let's hear. I called up my father. I said, Abba, what do you say about this? He says, tell him I said not to touch a kid. That's what he said. I called him back and I said, look, you're a rabbi. My father told me to tell you, do not touch the kid.
And he accepted it?
What?
He accepted it?
I never heard from him since.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And I always was on the side of the child. That's a very important thing. In other words, a child comes to me, and I know as an ex-teacher and as a student that the teachers are not always right. Many times they're not right. And I don't know what happened. The kid is telling me one thing, and the Rebbe or teacher tells me another thing. So what's the truth? What's the emes? So I don't take any of those sayings as they're heard. But I tried to investigate. First of all, I took to my child and asked him what happened. Tell me what happened. And he tells me his side of it. Yeah, I was hungry and I had pretzels, so I ate them in class. Not a big sin. And the teacher tells me a different thing. So I tell the teacher what I told the teacher, and I tell my son what I told my son. But I expected, I had a case with one of my children that he knew nothing in class. Nothing in class.
So academically, he's just not at all participating.
Academically, it was nothing. Nothing. He never participated. He didn't disturb, but nothing. So again, I called my father and I said, Abba, what do we do? So he said, leave him alone. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. He'll be all right. Ended up that the kid is very, very successful these days. Very successful in whatever he does. The teachers expect a certain thing from you, which the kid isn't necessarily able to do. But he's going to end up being good if you treat him right. You got to treat the kid, the child, or the student fairly. In other words, I never took the side of the teacher and said that the teacher said you're not behaving. Boom, boom, boom. No. I let it go as much as I can. When the teacher says, I calmed him down. Somehow I bribed the teacher to leave him alone, and it worked. The result is good. So I guess this is a good way to do it.
So can I maybe take a one angle of this and see if we could go down this line? We have parents, and the parents, they're there for the long term. Right? When you have a child, you're responsible for that child. You are responsible for that child. And that child is, God forbid, a failure. Listen, we're not pointing fingers. There is responsibility on the shoulder of the parent. It's their job to raise this child and steward this child so they are successful. And of course, we're not judging anyone. Abraham had Ishmael and Isaac had Esav, right? It's hard for us to know exactly who the fault is, but we believe that there's a real responsibility on the parent to raise the child properly. The teacher has a similar responsibility. The difference is the teacher has the child for a year and the parent has a child for 30 years, till they're off their books, till they're on their own. They're responsible on their own. Like Saba used to always say that parenting is like taking a candle that's lit and touching it to the candle which is unlit and holding it there until the first candle can be removed and the second candle is lighting on its own. That's how he described parenting. So until that candle is burning on its own, the parent's got to be there. And of course, if the parent's candle is not lit, if they're off their rocker, then they may have a hard time doing a good job. Maybe in such a case, it's better to find some other candle that could be helpful to supplement for what's missing. But the parent has to be there for the whole picture, for the long duration. It's a long-term thing for a parent. The teacher has them for a year, so there's a little bit of a tension here. The teacher has to teach. And there's one crazy kid, he's eating pretzels, and he's put his feet on the table, and he's not behaving, he's not learning. What am I supposed to do with this kid? And the parent is saying, well, if I take drastic action now, I got to deal with the long term. It's a 30-year project. And if I'm going to artificially push the kid too hard now, I'm going to break them, or I risk breaking them. Maybe their particular way that they're supposed to grow and flourish, it's much slower. It's more patient. I always say that if you want to build a tall building or even a small shed, you're going to have some debris field, right? There's going to be a construction site. And the taller the building, the bigger the building, the more debris and the more construction, the more chaos, and the longer it takes. And therefore, if we want to build our children into being really phenomenal adults, it's a long-term project. And the teacher has a much more short-term view. Of course, good teachers are also thinking long-term, but still, they're dealing with the child day after day, and they have them for a year. So there's tension here, or there could be tension. And you're resisting, you're standing in between, you're trying to kind of limit the crossfire, to limit how much projectiles are going here between the teacher and the student. And the principal says, hit him. And you say, no, hold off. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't want to ruin the child. And the child feels like, you're his ally. You're understanding him. You're seeing his perspective. And
that was a very important point. Once the child feels that you're on his side, that's what I want. That's exactly the purpose of the whole thing, is the child to see that you are on his team.
Yes. So you don't just automatically take the position of the teacher.
Right. And you have to respect the teacher, and you can't do things that bother him for this 1 year that he's teaching you. Next year you can do it maybe to the next teacher. But this year, he's sensitive to that. You have to avoid it. So this way you make peace between you and your child, and between the child and his teacher, Rebbe.
Mm-hmm. I always think of it, because my children, you will be unsurprised to learn, they have some of my genetics. And if I'm not misquoting you, thank God you have 9 children. I remember hearing you saying that maybe one of them was more difficult than all of them. Is that fair to say?
Sure thing.
And maybe it was me. I don't know. Was
maybe?
It? Not even close,
no,
right?
I never measured you or anybody against anybody. Each one is different.
It's different.
And each one produces different things.
Right.
Some can be great people and some can't. And they're both children and both good people.
Right. So
that's what counts.
With my children, I have this tension between the teachers and the schools and the child, what I think is best for the child, almost with every one of them. And I'm always thinking, how elastic are these teachers? I'm going to try to pull them to the absolute limit of what they can handle without kind of coming down on the child. I want to create as much latitude, as much space for the child as possible, as they're willing to tolerate. I try to find what they're willing to tolerate and go just up to the edge, and then hold on for dear life. Hold on for dear life because it's a long-term project.
That has to last 1 year only. That's the whole point. With a teacher, it lasts 1 year. And with the parent, it lasts a lifetime.
Yeah.
So the parents has to try to calm down both sides, to somehow go through this year and get to the next year with new issues.
It's like a diplomat. You have two warring countries, and Henry Kissinger shows up and he's trying to make all these, and they want blood and they want blood, and you got to find a way to make some sort of peace.
Yeah, lucky us that we have 1 year with each teacher.
Yeah.
Imagine if that teacher would be there for 2 years.
It wouldn't work. I remember thinking, I had this thought, just recently, that there was 1 year. I was in 7th grade, and the teacher, so, in our schools, in our community, there's going to be multiple teachers, obviously, but there's the Judaics teacher, the Rebbe, and that's kind of the bulk of the daily schedule is Judaics, is Torah. And then there's the secular studies as well. It's a hybrid. It's a dual track curriculum. So the Rebbe, the Judaics teacher, he really was an angel. Very patient, very soft-spoken, and very understanding. And he needed that for me. But I think I exceeded. I went past what he could handle. And I remember once he snapped at me. And I was thinking now, this is going back, I don't know, what is this, 25 years or so? I remember thinking now, like, if only he could have just had a little bit more patience with me. And how my view of him would be different. I know I demanded of him just who I was, just this crazy, crazy kid, who I was then. I demanded so much of him, and he really had it. He had so much patience, but I went a little bit past, and he did snap once with me. And I remember, like, that kind of colors my whole relationship with him. I haven't spoken to him or thought of him in a long time. Whenever I think about him, I think about kind of where I went wrong. And I had this thought just a couple of weeks ago, like, if only he had just a little bit more patience. And I was thinking, like, how important that is for me with my children to just realize, like, this is a work in progress. And I need to have patience, and I need to kind of rein in my impulses. And sometimes you have to just hold on, because this is a long-term thing, and you don't want to ruin it.
Yaakov, if you wouldn't have that little time that Rebbe blew up on you, then you wouldn't be able to say it now. In other words, what we're trying to do is to minimize it, not to have it gone. You should know that guy was suffering from you the whole year, and 1 minute he lost it and he gave it to you. Now you know it.
So you're saying it's actually beneficial. It's beneficial that he had a little
even
eruption.
for you, right?
Wow.
Right.
Well, I guess it was helpful for me because now, when you're a child, you think that you're completely righteous. It's very hard. It's even for adults. It's very hard for them, to get them to admit that they were wrong, right? Certainly a child, like, I'm right. And the teacher and the Rebbe and the parent and the principal and everyone they're just out to get me. And, we have all these defense mechanisms that we deploy, right? Where, like, it's very hard for us to admit when we're wrong. A child is definitely like that. And therefore, there is going to be some built-in animosity if someone accuses them of something. If someone has a negative posture towards them. Wow. So this is great. So we're saying that if we're going to list out some of the main principles of raising healthy children, we have this idea of being an ally for your child, of investing in the relationship with the child, of trying to be as gentle as possible with the child, of overlooking and ignoring things, and kind of resisting, when maybe a teacher or some other authority figure is trying to do something that you think is harmful. You have to kind of get in between that to make sure, because you understand that this could be a potential risk for the long-term viability of the child. Now, I want to kind of ask a question just on this. You're talking about overlooking things and ignoring things. Isn't there a risk of overlooking something and ignoring something? The child's not doing well in school. The child does something which is problematic. So when do we know, or what are some of the principles of when we should overlook and ignore and just make believe it never happened and think long term he'll get over it, be patient? And when are the times that we have to actually intervene? So a parent needs to know that as well, because there's bumps along the journey every single day. So what are the things that you jump to intervene with? And what are the things that you say, okay, they'll work it out eventually?
Well, there's a greater risk in not saying certain things than saying them. In other words, you have to have your own scale of importance, your own. That's the way you want to give to your child. There's certain things that are no, as they call it. Mm-hmm. Okay? There's certain things which are, you can live with. He's a different child. When a child does something, a child is, let's take an example. I don't know what it's really something wrong. He lit a candle on Shabbos. I'm just giving an example. He does something really that is a no. So then you're tough on that point. This is something we don't do. Okay? Not even by mistake. There's certain things you just don't do. But other things overlook. I mean, he's not you. You are doing differently than him. You're adult. He's a child. Okay? He has some freedom there. Okay? But not on the things which are unacceptable.
So there are some deal breakers. There are some things that are
right.
absolutely intolerable.
Right.
And the things that are intolerable, those things you come down hard and strong.
And hard? Strong, yes, not hard. In other words, you don't hit him for that, but your reaction is really strict. This is no. This should never happen again. Okay? But loving him, and you can kiss him at the same time. You understand what I'm saying?
So like, for example, let me think of an example that I use with my children. I know that if I see a child hitting a parent, the kids, sometimes they behave and they get upset. Oh, you're not buying me this ice cream. And they start hitting. Like, to me, that's an absolute no. Whether they hit me or my, even little kids. Like, that's something you don't do. And I would slap their hand and say, this is something you don't do.
Very good.
But if it's something more minor, you just ignore it.
You ignore, or you make a comment. A nice comment.
Proportional.
That's fine. Right. With a touch, with a hug. Sweetie, you don't do this. This is not nice. This is not, you want to be a good person. This is not a good person. So don't do it.
Even the iron fist has a velvet glove on top of it.
Yeah. But again, there's certain points that you have to be very strict.
Yeah. So what were some of the things that you were strict on? Like, what would be some examples of things that you don't tolerate?
I found that one of my kids stole something. I dealt with it. I made him give it back, and I was very tough on that. And never heard of it again. It was repaired. I think it was repaired. I can't think of many examples like this because I'm myself not the nicest kid in town. You know what I'm saying? I misbehaved many times. So my sensitive level is very low.
Very high level of tolerance.
What was that?
High level of tolerance.
Anything that is not, that is mutter.
Yeah, it means permitted.
Anything permitted, right? And anything that really doesn't play a major role in hitting you. When you hear about it, you don't say, "Oh God, this is terrible." It's not right. It's a misbehavior of a child. He's a child. He's learning how to be an adult. And he's not yet. So once you teach him that this behavior is not an adult proper behavior, he hopefully will learn if you love him. And I say again, loving him is the key to everything. He can take a punishment if you do it with love. Love means holding his hand, walking. Always hold his hand when you walk. Walk together to shul or to visit. Hold his hand. Hug him.
My kids absolutely refuse. The older ones, they refuse to have me hold their hand.
Okay, so no.
But you're embarrassing me in front of my friends.
Okay, so don't. But the kid needs to know that he really wants to hold your hand all the way through. That I think that's very. I see people walk in to shul, like the kid is a stranger. He's 4 feet behind them walking, and they go to sit wherever they want. They don't even look where he sits, or they don't care where he sits. You have to show caring. You have to show love to your kids, and you should have it naturally because you love the kids. They're your children. So it shouldn't be a difficult thing, but you have to focus on the child when you're with the child.
But we're also saying something which I think is very noteworthy. So yes, if you have all that love, that's like the currency that you have. That's your ability to influence them is subject to your love of them. If you don't love them, nothing else matters. But there are things that you just ignore, like, the kids misbehaving by the Shabbos table. You have a nice Shabbos table and the kid's misbehaving. Or they're not behaving properly. So that's something that you would just ignore, right? It doesn't really matter. They'll grow up, they'll grow out of it, no big deal.
You don't have to ignore. You have to call him, hug him, and kiss him and say, now you sit on my lap. How's that for a reaction to his behavior on the Shabbos table? The opposite of what a different parent would do.
A different parent would say, you sit down. You sit down and you sit in your chair. And I don't want to see you all horsing around.
That's one way to do it. But I don't think that's a productive way. Productive way is to show him love instead of what he did.
Yeah.
Okay, he knows it's wrong.
So
he or she, of course.
I have some things that really trigger me. Like, for example, if we're having a Shabbos table, and my kids are all voracious readers. They all love to read, and they would just read and read and read. Even the younger ones, they could read. They could sit down by a couch and read for 5 hours. Just no problem. Which is a beautiful thing because they learn a lot of words and a lot of knowledge. But like,
strange
I don't.
Kids.
Strange. they get it from Chaya. They get it from my wife.
They get it from their father. You're the same thing.
Well,
not
okay.
as a child. Now.
So I don't like that the kids sometimes they don't want to participate in the Shabbos meal and they want to instead read. It just drives me mad. And I know that it's something which maybe I should ignore, but maybe everyone could have their things of the thing, everyone can have that list of things that are very, very important to them, even if it's not objectively that important. It means that there isn't like, if a kid's running into the street, everyone knows that that's dangerous. That's not tolerable. Of course. If someone's doing, kids doing something absolutely crazy that everyone agrees it's not tolerable. But then every parent maybe should have the things that really matter to them. And for some, it's let's say academic success. If you're failing your class, I'm not tolerating that. That's very important to one parent perhaps. And maybe another parent could say, well, the academics, you'll work it out eventually. Yeah, you'll do fine, I'm sure, eventually. But I want you by the Shabbos table for a certain amount of time. I'm not going to force you to stay there for 3 hours listening to me pontificate, but I want you to be there and I want you not to read. Do you think that's fair?
100% fair. Not only fair, that's your responsibility to teach your child that sometimes you sit calm even though you want to do something else. Definitely. You have to make rules, Yaakov. You have to make rules of behavior. And the rules is at a Shabbos table, at least the first part of it, you sit nicely around the table. Okay, once we finished eating and we all chatting, That's fine. Go read your book, come back when we bench, everything is fine. But there are rules in this house. The rules are not broken. These are the rules, and you sit nicely.
Yeah.
It works. Yaakov, it works.
I know it does. So, what else? So we have just an incredible smorgasbord here of wonderful ideas about the importance of loving your child. Child knows that you love them. Child knows that you care about them. This idea of balance. Not everything has to have a disproportionate response. And even when you do have a response to do it with love, what are some other themes? Let's say
protect them.
Protect them.
Protection.
Yeah, let's talk more about that.
They have to feel that they're protected, that the father and mother protect them under any threat.
So, like, for example, I have one son. He's always worried. Is the door locked? Is the door locked? What if someone comes? What if someone comes in the middle of the night? What's going to be? So
he's worried.
He's worried. He's a worrier. Always like, he's a little kid. It's my Yitzi. He's like, did you lock the door? Are we sure it's locked? So it's a little bit, the rest of the kids, the door will be wide open. They don't even notice it.
Okay. So he's sensitive to that. And you have to comfort that and love him with that and explain to him that it's not the end of the world. He has a point. It is a risky thing, especially in Houston, Texas. But, Hashem is also protecting us, not only the locked door. No, that's another teaching in the Emunah also.
Yeah, I tell him that. I said, who's protecting anyone when they're sleeping? Who made sure that you breathe? You try to stop breathing for 5 minutes, what's going to happen? Who tells your heart to keep on pumping? You feel your heart pumping? Who tells your heart to keep on pumping? Mm-hmm. What if it stops? What's your plan? That's what I tell. You don't have a plan. You're out of luck. Curtains.
It doesn't mean that you disrespect his fear, but you explain to him that there are more guards than door locked. There are more guards. It's okay. So it bothers you, so close the door. Not a problem. Close it.
Yeah. So okay. What are the areas when you talk about the child feels like they have protection? What are some other areas? So we talked about the child feeling safe and secure. Let me ask you a question like this. Let's say the parents are not doing well financially. God forbid, right? Child's a little scared. What's going to be?
How does he know that?
Okay, but maybe he doesn't know. But is it imperative for a parent to not allow their own insecurities and their own vulnerabilities and their own things that are terrifying them to spill over to their children? Part of the protecting them is to shield them.
Well, we have a financial difficulty right now. We had it good before. We'll have it good after. Right now it's difficult. So right now we have to be very careful with our finances. What's wrong with that?
So you tell the kid, no, we're not going to buy that thing now because... Okay, but isn't the kid now a little bit insecure where, maybe their parents can't afford things and what's going to be? And maybe I won't be able to get my new shoes that I want or my new shirt that I want or tennis racket that I want. You're saying it's okay to tell them.
It's perfectly fine. I think and you can tell this to the children. I never bothered to because I never had an issue. But you can tell the child as long as we have roof over our head and food on our table, the rest is extras. So for that, we need extra money, and we don't always have the extra money. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, and it's okay if we don't. We're still the same good people.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way of putting it. Now, let's say there's a bully. Okay, your kid goes to school, and maybe he doesn't like the teacher you think is a little too domineering, and you can't touch sense because not everyone has the same philosophy. Some people say, no, the kid has to learn. If they don't score well, then we have to shun them. But the teacher's a bit domineering. The friends are a bit domineering. The friends disinclude them, right? Your child's excluded. Everyone's going to a big party. Everyone's invited to go bowling. Everyone goes out to eat, and your kid's excluded. What do you do?
It's a very sad situation. I mean, you can use this for all your children and say, let's talk about it. Why wasn't listen, this kid not invited to the bowling game with the other kids. Why? Oh, because he was a bully himself. They're not pleasant to be in his company. So you have to be pleasant. You have to be friendly. You have to be good with the people. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, it's a lesson. Why did it happen? It happened because something was wrong. And that
let's say there's actually a bully. Your kid goes to school, and there's another kid in the class who's always saying insulting things, maybe even doing things that are harming your child. What do? How do you protect the child?
How do you protect the child? There are certain things that you have to teach him. If somebody hits you, hit him back.
Send him to karate.
Right. Karate, or just use your hands. And protect yourself. You have to protect yourself. And
we don't believe you're telling me to turn the other cheek. Like some other people say, if someone hits you like this,
no way.
Of course not. I know that.
No, you have to. Sometimes you have to apologize. Yeah, every one of us sometimes has to apologize because we all make mistakes, and we say, "I'm sorry. I misbehaved. I'm sorry." And I told this to my kids also. When I did something wrong, and I would apologize. You know what? That wasn't right. That I don't know, punished you in a certain way. I thought about it, and it was wrong, so I apologize to you. Nothing wrong. You're not God. You're just a father. Okay? And you're a human being, and you make mistakes. And you can admit it to your children. I think they'll respect you more when you say, you made a mistake. Yeah. He's a human being, this father, after all.
Wow. I think this is unbelievable. Without looking at your recorder, do you have a guess how long we've been talking for?
It felt like half hour.
It's been 48 minutes. So we covered
40
a lot.
Minutes.
Yeah, it's a lot. We covered a lot. I think it was really unbelievable. I have some more questions I want to discuss, but maybe we'll punt it to next time. What do you say about that?
Looking forward.
And is it okay, again, if I ask the audience if they have questions, they could email them in? I have some more stuff that I want to discuss, but I would love to have like a segment where we speak to the Podfather about some of our own dilemmas that we have in parenting. I could present maybe some of mine, but if the audience, you're open to that?
I'm very much open. I think that's the better way. In other words, for me to tell you stories is one thing. And for me to give you an idea how to deal with the current issue is another thing. I'd like that very
and it'll
much.
be beneficial not just for the people who have these questions, but also for anyone else. Because new ideas and different ways of thinking about it can help kind of break the paradigm. So anyone of the listeners that has any questions for the Podfather, for my father, he should live and be well. Hopefully we're going to do more episodes like this. I have some more subjects to discuss still, but I want to kind of keep them within reason. I don't want it to be too long. So we have other subjects that I want to discuss. What are some common mistakes that people make and how to avoid them, and maybe some of the unique challenges that are around today. Sibling rivalry. If you have two children, if you're blessed with two or more children, you have to navigate a lot of tricky situations, with, where, one child and the other child don't really get along, and you kind of have to play that same balancing game, that you do between, teacher and student and child. You do kind of the same kind of, balancing act, between, different children as well. So I'll talk more about that. But this was unbelievable. I really, really enjoyed this. And I think everyone who listens to will enjoy it as well. And it's great to have you on the podcast, Abba.
It's so nice to be here. And I'm so impressed of how you present things. You're amazing. I wish I would have that language of yours.
Well, I will tell the audience that my father was born in Israel and is a native Hebrew speaker and studied English kind of on your own. Is that right, Abba?
Yeah.
On your own as a teenager. Today, it's part of the standard curriculum in Israel to teach English. I don't know if it was. Did you have any classes in English? You did?
I had private classes in actually writing and reading and writing.
in English.
Not in speaking. Yeah.
Not in speaking.
And I was always exposed to English speaking people. So
That helps.
that's where it all came from.
So yeah, this was unbelievable because the audience, I think, you could tell that you have a little bit of an accent, but you did it perfectly. You pulled it off. And I think that if I was speaking in Hebrew, I can't be as articulate as you are in English. So
thank you very much.
This was a delight, and I'm looking forward, please God, to the next episode as well of the Podfather. And my email address is rabbiwolbe@gmail.com. Abba, you want to give your email address as well if someone wants to email you directly?
They should send it to you. You'll forward it to
Okay,
me
so
anything.
So if you have any questions, send them my way. We are actually recording this via Zoom. My father is in New York, upstate New York, Muncie, New York, and I'm here at the Torch Center in Houston, Texas. And this is the inaugural episode of the Podfather. And please, God, we'll have many more. And as always, the email address is rabbiwolbe@gmail.com. Abba, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Thank you, Yaakov, and good luck to you. Be well.